Hey guys, welcome to the another session on Automation Anywhere. In the today's session, we are going to create an end-to-end project using the Automation Anywhere command. So in our previous session, we have learnt a lot of commands of Automation Anywhere. So we will use some of the commands in the today's session to create a project. So we are going to use Metabots, we are going to use Taskbot, we are going to use open browser and the close browser command. We are going to use delay command. We are also going to read data from Excel or CSV file. We are going to write data to the CSV file. So all these commands we are going to use today to create our project. So let's get started. And yes, if you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and also click on the bell icon to get the updates on the latest videos. So now let's move ahead and let's see what is our task at hand, what task we are going to automate today. So we have this URL to create a Gmail account for the user. So let me show you what I mean. So first step, we are going to launch this URL. And once we have this URL launched, we are going to click on create an account, and then we are going to fill all these user details over here. So let me write it down as well. So what is our task at hand? So what is our task? We are going to open this URL. We are going to open this URL, and then we are going to click on create an account, and then we are going to provide user details. Now for all these steps we are going to use a taskbot. So the taskbot will contain all these details, but we are going to create metabots as well. So first metabot, we will create metabot 1 to click on create an account, and then we will create another metabot, that is metabot 2, to provide user details. And the taskbot will run the metabot 1, and the similar taskbot will run the metabot 2 as well. So these all are the steps at hand. We have other steps as well which we will look into in few minutes. As of now, let's focus on this user details. Let's look into this user details. What all user details we need to provide. So we need to provide first name, last name, user name for the email address, password, and the confirmed password. So all these details we need to provide. So we are going to use this Excel sheet to provide the user details, and how the task is going to get data from this Excel sheet. The taskbot the taskbot will fetch the data from this Excel sheet, and the taskbot is going to provide those data to the metabot 2. So let me write it down as well. Taskbot will provide user details to the metabot 2. Okay, let me change the color from here. Taskbot is going to provide user details to Metabot 2. How it's going to provide? Using Excel or CSV file. Using Excel or CSV file. So this is my CSV file from where the Taskbot is going to provide details, user details, to the Metabot. Okay, so let's look into this a bit in detail. So in a real life scenario, how you will get all these details. So generally we have these details in a database. From there we extract those data. So in the today's project also we are going to use database to fetch these details. Okay, so I have a table with me. That is the user details table. So if you have watched my video on database command, you have seen I have created a test DB database where we had used these tables. So I have created a new table, that is the user details, which contains all these details, that is the first name, last name, email, password, and confirm password. So these all details are available inside the user details table. So we are going to use the database command of Automation Anywhere to fetch data from this user details table, and it will fetch those data in a CSV file. Now I have a status column over here as well. So why the status column is here? So if my task is able to fill all these details successfully, then I'm going to write in the CSV file that status is passed. Else, if my task is not able to fill all these details successfully, then I'm going to write the status as fail. So my next step will be set the status to pass or fail in the CSV file based on error occurred or not. Okay, and my final step will be send the email. So we will provide some of the configurations to send the email that my task is done along with the attachment of this CSV file. So now that we have got a brief idea of what we need to do, let's jump into the Automation Anywhere and let's look into this step one by one. So our first command will be to launch this URL. So let's move to Automation Anywhere, and now let's quickly create a Taskbot. So for that I'm going to click on New Workbench, and we are inside this workbench page. We are going to launch this URL. So let me copy it from here and let me search this open browser command. So I'm going to use this open browser command which is inside web recorder. So let's open this open browser command, and it is asking for the URL to open. So I'm going to give the name of the URL. So this is my URL I have provided. So let's click on save. Now my first command is ready. So what I need to do next, I need to run the Metabot one, that is click on create an account. So now I'm going to create a Metabot to click on create an account. So let me close this one and let me open this URL. So I'm going to create a Metabot to click on create an account. So let's move now. So I am inside Automation Anywhere. This is the Metabots, and I'm going to create a new Metabot. So we have two options over here. We can click on new, we can click on record. So let's move with the record only. So let's click on record, and here we have to provide the Metabot name. So let's give the name as Metabot 1, and Metabot type, it is asking application specific or all applications. Since I want to work on this application, that's why let's proceed with the application specific only. Now we have the recording option. So what recording option we have? Record screen with logic. So in the Metabots session we have learnt very important two parameters of Metabot, that is the asset and the logic. So assets have the captured screen and logic have the navigational flow. In that session we had also learned that if we select record screen, only the screen will be recorded and the navigational flow will we need to create manually. But if we select record screen with logic, along with the screen gets captured, the logic is also created automatically and we don't need to create the logic manually. So if you have not watched that video on Metabots, I would suggest you to please go through the Metabots part 1 and part 2 video to have a better understanding on the Metabot. So assuming that you are already aware of the Metabots, let's move ahead. So we will proceed with the record screen with logic, and here we need to select the application. So my application is open in Internet Explorer. So let's select the Internet Explorer and let's click on start. So we are inside the Metabot designer page, and this contains the all the open screens inside the Internet Explorer. So this is the screen on which I want to work, and here it says click image to start recording. So now before starting to record, we had also learned in the previous session that resolution also need to be set. So we need to move to that resolution on which the recording works perfectly. So let me open the settings page, and in the systems we have this resolution option. So if I expand this one, in my system the recording doesn't work in this resolution and it works perfectly on this resolution. So I will move to this resolution, keep changes. So I have set the resolution to this one, and in your system as well you can set the resolution on which the recording works perfectly. So let's close this settings, and now I will click on image to start recording. So let's click on the image and my recording is started. You can see the Metabot recorder is open and the status is running. So I'm going to click on create an account. So let's click on create an account. It says creating screen. And now I can stop the recording. So this is the logic which got created. So I'm asking you again, if you have not watched the Metabot part 1 and part 2 video, please watch that video, otherwise you won't be able to understand this completely. So let's save this logic. Let's keep the logic as create create account. Let's click on save. Let's click on save, and we don't have any parameters in this one. We had just click on create an account, so we don't need to create parameters over here. So let's click on close from here, and if I move over here, so this is the Metabot one. This is the Metabot which got created. This is the asset where we have this captured screen, and this is the logic which we just saved, that is create account logic which gets created. So what it says, what command it has, click on the link. So if I double click over here and if I make it large, if I make this window large, if I move over here, so this command is clicking on create an account. So this is the command which got created inside the logic. So my first Metabot is ready. So I will move to this task, new task. So let me save this. This is our main task board where we will have all the steps of our project. So I'm going to give the name as Gmail project. Let's click on save. And here I'm going to call this Metabot logic. I'm going to call this Metabot 1 logic create account which we have just created. So let's move to Metabots, and from here I am going to call this Metabot 1, and inside Metabot 1 we have this create account logic. So let's use this one. So this is already selected since we have only one logic inside Metabot 1. So we don't have any input and the output parameters in this case. So let's click on save. So we have this run logic command available over here in the Taskbot. So moving to our task, we are done with the open URL, and we are also done with the Metabot 1 creation, that is click on create an account. Now we need to create Metabot 2, that is to provide user details. So let's focus on this Metabot. So I will close this one and I will create a new Metabot now. So let's move to Metabot, and again we are going to click on record, and I'm going to give the name as Metabot 2. Again, Metabot type application specific, and we are going to use the option record screen with logic. And here let's close this. As of now we need to focus on, okay, all got closed. Let me open this. Let me open this one. Let's click on create an account. and we need to fill all these details, and for this we are going to create a Metabot 2 which will provide all these details. So let's move to Metabots, and we are going to select this Internet Explorer. Let's click on Start, and this is the open screens window with us. It says click on image to start recording. So let's click on the image. So my recording is started. It says Metabot recorder option is there, status is running. Now we are good to provide the details. So in our final execution, the details is going to come from the Excel sheet, and the data in the Excel sheet is going to come from the database. But as of now, to create this Metabot logic, let's provide the details over here. So the first name I clicked over here, it says creating screen. So once you click on the screen for the first time, it will say that creating screen. Now we are good to go to provide the details. Now I'm going to provide the first name as test1, the last name as test2, and the username I will give as email demo, and I will give the password as well. So let me give the password, password1, confirm password, password 2. We are not going to click on the next button. So once we click on the next button, we need to provide the phone number as well. So we will not provide the phone number. We will provide all these details. Okay. So we have provided all these details. Let's click on stop. So this is my logic which got created. So let me save this logic as well. So my logic name will be provide user details. So this is my logic which got created. So let's close this as of now. Let's move to the Metabot designer page. So this is the Metabot designer page. This is the Metabot 2 which we created just now. If we move to assets, so this is the screen which got captured, and this is the logic which got created automatically because we have selected the option record screen with logic. So this is the logic which we had just saved. Now let's open this logic. So these all are the commands which got created inside the Metabot 2. So let's look into them one by one. So first one is set text test1 inside the text box. So if we double click on this one, so this is the test one which we have provided inside the first name, and the second one is the last name details. Similarly, the third one is the email demo which we have provided for the username, and the fourth one is the password. It has been marked since it is the password, and the fifth one is to confirm the password. So these all are the hard-coded values, and we need to remove these hard-coded values. So for that we are going to use the parameters. So let's now quickly create parameters inside the Metabot. So I'm inside the variable manager. So let's click on variable manager, and here let's click on add. And now I'm going to create the parameters over here. So first one will be, I'm going to give the name as f name, that is the first name, and since it is of the Metabot, so I'm going to give a Metabot as well, and we need to select the parameter type as well. So if we expand this one, so we have seen in the Metabot session all these parameter types one by one. So if the value of this parameter, if the value of this first name is going to come from the Taskbot, which is correct in this case, in our final execution the value of the first name is going to come from the Taskbot to this Metabot. So in that case we need to select the parameter type as input. So let's click on input. So we have selected the parameter type as input, and we can give some value over here, test1, but in the final execution the value will come from the Excel sheet. So let's give the value as of now. So let's click on save. Again let's click on add, and let's give another parameter. What we need to create, we need to create last name. So I'm going to give L name Metabot, and let's give the parameter type as input again, and let's give the name as test2. Let's click on save. Let's create another parameter as well, user name Metabot, and let's give the parameter type as input. So I'm going to give the value as user email. Let's add another parameter as well, and it will be password, and the parameter type again will be input, and the value will be, let's give some value as password 2, and let's give the final variable name as confirm, that is it will be the confirm password, and let's give the parameter type as input again, and the value will be password 2. Let's click on save. So we have created all these variables over here. Now we need to remove these hard-coded values with these variables. So let's do this one by one. So first of all, let's select this first command. Let's double click on that, and this is the enter text. Here is the hard-coded value test1. Let's delete this. Let's press F2, and here we have the f name, that is the first name Metabot variable present. So let's select this and let's click on insert. Let's update this, and you can see the hard coded value has been removed. Let's move to the next command, and in a similar manner I'm going to give let's remove this test2 and press F2, and let's give last name. Let's click on insert, update, and the third one, that is the username, let's delete this one and let's press F2, and my variable was username Metabot. Let's click on insert, let's click on update. Similar thing for the password. Let's delete this, press F2, and I'm going to give the variable as password which we have just created. Let's click on insert, update, and the final one, enter text. Let's delete this, F2, and we are going to select this confirm, insert, update. Now we have created a Metabot with all the variables. We have removed hard-coded values and we have provided all these details. So my Metabot Metabot 2 is ready. We have created the Metabot 2 to provide user details. Now we need to call this Metabot 2 inside the Taskbot, and the Taskbot will provide the user details for Metabot 2. So the variables which we have created over here, we need to create all these variables inside the Taskbot as well. That is the Gmail project, which is the Taskbot we have created. So let's quickly create all those variables over here as well. Let's click on add. I'm going to give the name as first name Taskbot. Let's not give any value over here. Let's click on add again, and let's give the name as last name Taskbot. Let's not give any value. Save, yes, and again username Taskbot. Let's click on save. Let's create another variable as password Taskbot. Let's click on save, and again I'm going to give the variable name as confirm Taskbot, and let's click on save. So we have created all the variables in the Taskbot as well. Now my Taskbot, that is the Gmail project which will be our final task, is going to call this logic, that is the provide user details logic of the Metabot 2. So let's move to this Gmail project. Let's move to this Metabot, and this is the Metabot 2 which we have just created. Let's open this one. Let's double click, and inside Metabot 2 we have this provide user details which we have just created. So these all are the input parameters of the Metabot 2 which we have created. That is, these all are the first name Metabot, last name Metabot. These all are the input parameters we had created inside the Metabot. Now we need to provide the values over here as well. The values are going to come, the values of this input input parameters are going to come from the Taskbot, for which we have created these variables inside the Taskbot. So let's quickly give the values over here as well. Let's delete these values. Press F2 and my first name Taskbot insert. Let's delete this hard-coded value as well. Last name, let's delete this one as well. And username Taskbot. Let's delete this. Press F2. Password, we need to select the password as well. And confirm password. So these all are the input parameters of the Metabot, which is going to take values from the Taskbot variables. We had not created any output parameters as of now in the Metabot, that's why it is blank. Let's save this one. So let's move it to down. So we are done with the Metabot creation. That is, we have created Metabot 1 and we have called that Metabot logic inside this Taskbot. And we have also created Metabot 2 and we have called the logic from Metabot 2, that is provide user details, inside the Taskbot. So we are done with all these three steps. Now this Taskbot needs to fetch the data from the Excel sheet, and the Excel sheet is going to fetch the data from the database. So I am going to use the database command over the Taskbot to fetch the data. So let's move to Taskbot. We can close this Metabot logics from here. So let's close these Metabot logics which we had worked on just now. Now let's focus on the database command. So this is the database command. If we expand this one, this is the connect command. First thing we need to work on the database is to connect to the database, which we have learnt in the database session. So if you have not watched that video on database, I would suggest you to please go through that video as well. There we had learnt all these queries one by one. So let's move ahead with this connect query. Let's open this one, and here the session name is default, and there we need to provide the connection string. So what is this connection string? We have learnt in detail in the database session. So let's click over here, and from here we need to provide the provider name. So we have been working on the SQL Server. This is my SQL Server Management Studio, where I have created TestDB database, and inside TestDB database I have the tables, and these all are the tables on which we have worked. So we are working on the SQL Server. That's why let's move ahead with this provider, that is the SQL Server. So let's click on next, and here we need to provide the server name. So how we can get the server name? We'll move to here. We will move to the topmost option, right click, properties, and this is the server name. So let's copy it from here and let's paste it over here, and then we need to provide the information to log on to the server. So again we have two options. We can use specific username and password, and also we can use Windows anti-integrated security. So let's move with the first option, and after that we need to provide the database. So what is the name of my database? I am working on the TestDB database. So I am going to use TestDB database from here, and now once we have provided all these details, we can test connection from here. So let's click on that, and my connection succeeded. Let's click on OK. Let's click on OK from here, and let's save this command. So we have provided this command. Let's move it to up, and once we connect this, we need to disconnect the database at the end as well. So let's use this disconnect command as well at the end. Now we need to fetch the details of this user details table. All these details we need to fetch in the CSV file. So how we can do that? We have this SQL query command which we are going to use. So let's double click on that, and here we need to provide the select statement. So this is the select statement which we are going to use. So this select statement we have provided, and here we have the option to export data to CSV. So what this command will do, it will extract the result of this query and it will put the result inside the CSV file. So let's check this file and I can give the file path over here. So let's click over here and here we need to provide the CSV file name. So I'm going to give the name as user details for project. Let's click on open and we have provided the file path, and let's click on save from here. So once the query will be executed, this CSV file is going to be created in this path. So we will have the CSV file at the runtime. So let me show you what I mean. So let's comment these three commands as of now. Let's disable this one and let's save the task. And if I do the execution, what will happen? This CSV file will get generated in this path. Let's click on run. So my task is running and it is over. So let's move to this path and let's see whether this file got generated or not. So let's move to this file and user details for project CSV file got created. So this is the file which got generated along with the details. So the result is similar to the result of the query. So we have the details with us. So now what the Taskbot need to do, Taskbot need to open this CSV file. The Taskbot will read the first row and it will provide these details to the Metabot. Then the Taskbot will read the second row, it will provide the details to the Metabot again, and so on. So you might have guessed we need to open the spreadsheet. So we need to use the spreadsheet command and then we need to use the loop command to use all these user details. So let me show you using automation anywhere. So I will uncomment these three commands as of now. So now what we need to do, we need to use the Excel command. So we are inside this Excel command. Let's expand this one and then we need to use the open spreadsheet. So let's open this one and here we need to provide the spreadsheet path. So this is the file which need to be opened, user details for project. So let's click on browse and I will give the name as user details for project. Let's click on open and it doesn't contain the header. It doesn't have any header, first name, last name. The data starts from the first row. That's why we won't select this one. Let's click on save. So we have opened this spreadsheet. Now we need to read data from this spreadsheet. So we have seen all these commands where we have learned how to work with the Excel file. So let's click on get cells. We need to read all these data. We need to read all these data. That's why we will get all these cells, get all cells, and let's click on save. So we have used this command. Now we need to create loop to read all these data. So I will create a loop now. So this URL will be launched only for one time, so that will be outside the loop. The loop will start from after this command. So let's move to the loop command. Let's expand this one and what loop I'm going to use for each row in Excel dataset. So I'm going to use for each row in Excel dataset. That is for each row in this Excel dataset, we are going to use this command. Each row in Excel dataset, session name is default. Let's click on save. So what we need to do, all these will come inside the loop. And here the Taskbot need to fetch all these details inside these variables. Okay, so I'm going to use the variable operation command from here. So let's open this one, variable operation, and let's select the variable. So first variable we have is the first name. So let's select the first name from here, select variable first name, and what value we need to provide over here. So here you can see in the comment, inside the loop comment, it's mentioned that use Excel column variable for each row in Excel. That is, for each row in Excel, for this row in Excel, if I select this row, we can use the variable Excel column. So let's press F2, and this Excel column is a system variable. So I will move to system variable. This is the system variable list. Let's move to Excel column. Excel column. Let's click on insert, and here we need to give the column number. So in this CSV file, the column number for the first data, that is the first name, is 2. This is column 1 and this is column 2. So I'm going to give the name number as column number as 2. So the Excel column 2 of this row, now if we have selected this first row, so if the first loop is running for the first row, the Excel column 2 is John. This is the first name. So we have selected this Excel column 2 and we have assigned it to the first name Taskbot variable. So let's click on save. Now I will again use this variable operation, and here I will select the last name. Let's press F2 again, and again we need to use the Excel column. So let's move to Excel column, and here let's click on insert. Let's give the name as column 3. So the last name is inside the column 3. Let's click on OK. Let's click on save, and I will use the variable operation again, and I need to give the username and press F2. Excel column insert, and it will be inside 4. Let's click on OK. Let's click on save. Two more we need to use. We need to provide the password and press F2 again, and this will be inside Excel column insert. It will be inside 5. Let's click on OK. Let's click on save, and the final variable we need to use is the confirm password. So I will use this confirm taskbot variable. Let's press F2, and we need to move to the system variable Excel column, and we'll click on insert, and the column number will be, let me show you, 1 2 3 4 5 6. So the column number will be 6. Let's click on 6 and let's click on OK. Let's click on save. So we have provided all the variable details over here. So my loop will be started, and inside the loop all the variable operations will be done. So suppose my loop is started and the first loop is running. So in the first loop, this first row will get selected and it will assign all these values inside the variables which we have created inside the Taskbot. So this database will be disconnected after the loop is over, and once this provide user details logic will run from Metabot 2, we need to close this URL. So let me show you what I mean, this close URL. So this URL will be closed. So let me show you what I mean by this. So once this URL will be launched, so this URL will be launched only for the one time, and after that the loop will be started. So for the first loop, the task will click on create account. It will provide the details and then it will close the browser. Again, for the second loop, it will move over here again. It will click on create account and then it will provide details and it will close the browser. So this browser, this URL will get closed every time inside the loop. So that's why I have provided this closed browser inside the loop. And once all the rows will be over, after that we need to close this and this as well. So this URL will be closed at the end. So I'm going to use a close browser after end loop as well. So let me use that. So as of now, what we have done, we have opened the browser, we have run the Metabot 1 and we have run the Metabot 2, and the Taskbot has provided the user details using the Excel file from the database. And these two steps, that is set the status to pass fail inside the CSV file, send email along with error handling, we will see in the next session. Okay, so as of now we are going to run the task with these three steps. So let me show you the summary what we have done. So first of all, we have provided some commands to get the user details from the database. So the first command is to connect to the database. Then we have provided the SQL query to get all the user details, and it will be placed inside the CSV file. So once this file will be available at the runtime, what the task will do, task will open the spreadsheet and it will get all the cells from the spreadsheet, since we want to read all these data. And once we have the data with us, we can display a message box. Let me add a message box over here. Data read from Excel successfully. Let's click on save. And once we have the data with us, what we are going to do, we are going to open this URL to create Gmail accounts. So after that also we can provide a message box. So we can provide a message as URL opened. Let's click on save. And once we have the URL launched, what we are going to do, we are going to start the loop. We will have all the variable operations. So the taskbot will read the data from this CSV file and it will provide those data inside these variables which we have created. After that the Metabot 1 will run, and after that the Metabot 2 will run. So let me provide a message box over here as well. So let me provide a message box Metabot 1 running, and after that we can provide another message box after that, Metabot 2 running. Let's click on save. So once the Metabot 2 will run, it will provide all the user details. It will close the browser, then the loop will be started again, and then it will continue in a similar manner. And once the loop will be over, the final browser will be closed and the database will be disconnected. So let's click on save, and I will delete this user details for project CSV file because it will be created at the runtime. So I will close the open Excel sheets, and from here I'm going to delete this user details. And now let's move to our taskbot. And one more thing we need to do over here is that since we have opened the spreadsheet, we need to close the spreadsheet as well. So I will use the close spreadsheet command over here. Let's click on close spreadsheet. Let's click on save. Let's save the task. Let's add some delay over here as well to have some better vision. So let's add a delay command over here. Let's give a delay of 2 seconds, and let's copy this one and let's add a delay over here as well. So let's save the task, and now we are good to do the execution. So let's click on run. So my task is started to run and it says data read from Excel successfully. Let's click on OK. So URL got open. Let's click on OK again. Metabot 1 running. Now the Metabot will click on create an account. So let's click on OK. So it clicked on that, and now Metabot 2 is running. So it will provide the user details. Let's click on OK. So it's providing the user details. It has provided the details. Now the loop 2 is started and it says Metabot 1 running again. So the loop 2 will do the similar thing. So let's click on OK. Now Metabot 2 running. Let's click on OK. It provided the details. Now my second loop is over and Metabot is running again. Since we have 4 rows, so the loop will run for 4 times. So this is the third time it is running. So once I will click on OK, the Metabot is going to click on create an account. So let's click on OK, and it clicked on the create account, and now the Metabot 2 is going to provide the user details. So let's click on OK. So it's going to provide user details. So it provided that one, and now this is my fourth and the final loop which is running. That is the fourth one. So let's click on OK, and now Metabot 2 is running. It's going to provide the details over here. Let's click on OK, and it provided the details. And my task is over, browser closed, database got disconnected, and Excel also got closed. So this is the task which we have created, and in the next session whatever is remaining, that is, we will set the status to pass or fail in the CSV file based on the based on if the error occurred. We will send the details of the execution in the email, and also we will use the error handling command. So all these three steps we will see in the next session. Okay, that's all for this session, and if you have any query, please put in the comment section below and I will try to solve your queries. Thank you. Have a nice day.